Hello, Samantha. It's so wonderful to have you join me today.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
It's lovely to see you because I know we've been speaking through Instagram, but we never connected in person, seeing you through the video, which is
Yeah.
amazing. Thank you so much for everything that you do. For people that are watching, could you please tell us more about you? Who's Samantha?
Um, so I'm a mother. I was a fitness instructor before I started campaigning. So I got involved with this in so obviously everything happened in 2023. I started working with families in 2024. I first of all, I was just helping connect people with medical and food aid. And then I connected on a deeper level with some of the families and started helping them initially. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. It was like the blind leading the blind. I didn't have any connections. But yeah, we just kind of figured it along the way and started making videos. Initially, they would send me content and I would make it. And we just kind of trying to figure out, reach bigger accounts so that we could get their stories out further. It just kind of went from there. And then, that's what I do every day of trying to get people to part with their money.
Amazing. Samantha, I just want to take you back, before October 7th. What was the exact moment where you realized the narrative you were hearing did not match what you were seeing?
Well, I came into it as a complete blank canvas. I didn't know anything about anything before October 7th. I just remember hearing on the news that there was this unprovoked terror attack. People killed people for no reason. I thought, well, whether you
Yeah.
like reason or not, there's always a reason there. It was very strange. There was a couple of people that was following on TikTok, and they did some videos on it, and then I um, already followed Gabor Mate, and I kind of watched and listened, and it became apparent really quickly that it wasn't at all like they were telling everybody on the news, unsurprisingly. Um, and I started following different people, like different journalists and things in Gaza, and the things that I was seeing, I'd never seen anything like that in my life. Obviously, for everyone within Palestine as a whole, it's obviously not new, unfortunately. But for me, I'd not seen anything like that, and I kept learning, kept, watching other people's videos, reading articles and things like that. It didn't make any sense to me that, like, what's going on? Um, so then I got involved in marches and things like that and protests, like the big ones in
Mhm,
London.
mhm.
And naively, stupidly, at the beginning, I thought people don't realize, people don't understand, people don't know. And then if everybody knew, then they're going to stop. This will change.
Yeah.
See, that became apparent really quickly that that wasn't the case. People didn't know and they didn't care. Obviously, there were people like me, as like the general public, that didn't know, or maybe they knew a bit more than me, but they didn't really fully understand the big picture. But as the whole, like, the leaders of the world, everybody knew what was going on. Everybody was complicit in what's going on.
Yeah.
Um, and I felt like going and walking, and it was like, what then? Yes, make the noise, but what then? That wasn't like, I wasn't doing enough. I needed to do something. Um, and I just, I tried connecting with different local groups, and that wasn't right for me. I found them
Yeah.
and they were very unhelpful. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So I connected with people online, and that's how I made really good friends with someone that was helping with aid with families. Her main thing was food aid, medical aid, sorry. And from that, I felt like I was doing something purposeful. I wasn't ending the side. I wasn't making an impact with the leaders, but I was making some difference on the ground. And I felt like that's why I needed to do something physically to help.
So you moved from marches to
Uh,
direct action because because it started to feel ineffective. What made you realize that visibility does not always equal impact?
because it kind of felt, and this isn't to say that all people are like this at all, but I was seeing people that were turning up for who was speaking, like it was, we go to a concert of like, oh, who's performing, and they wanted that. People were taking selfies, and then I'd see them going to the shops afterwards buying Starbucks or whatever, and it just felt like it was had too much performatism within it, which is not to say that the people that run it or everybody's there is like that, but it didn't feel like it was going further with,
Mhm.
and it was, in fact, that, there was getting less and less marches, and it was, oh, I understand that there's a lot of logistics that I'm not part of, so I don't want to criticize other people. But from my level of what I was doing, it just didn't feel like it was progressing beyond just going and marching through the streets. It's like it needs more beyond that. And obviously, you have, other groups that would go on and take direct action, and that's amazing. They would take it further. But then I was feeling I was kind of stuck in this, what next? It has to
You-
be
Yeah,
action within it. You can't just, tell the story because, it's, what, almost 3 years down the line. How much more is there left to say?
how about your emotional state in that time? Because it must be difficult to try to be you behind closed doors, Samantha, and that level of emotional impact that might what that does to a person's ability to function in their own life. Did you find that
I
stressful?
I found I couldn't function at all. I was seeing things like, particularly, obviously, every life that is taken, I don't care, male, female, old, young, resistance fighter or not, I don't care. To me, they're all innocent lives that are taken. But when you directly see, children there that were the same age as like my youngest, and I think, or, my elder children, I think if they were in Palestine, they'd be at the age that they'd be considered terrorists. And, these horrific, they'd be like, oh, well, we're just going to take them because they're a fighting age. And it was that what I connected on. And I think I kept, thinking of my own children, and it was like all I could see were the images and the things that were happening. And there are so many that, that are stuck in my mind now, even that I'll never forget. Um, and yeah, like my mental health, like was like gone. It was on the floor. But even then, I think it's meant to be. Your mental health is meant to be shot if you're seeing things like that. If you're fine, then there's something wrong with you. And there's a big thing in the West of you got to fix it, good vibes only. Let's be happy. Like, well, no, when things like that are happening, then you shouldn't just be okay. Obviously, you can't function in every aspect of your life. You have to
Mm.
find a way through it. But no,
Yes,
at the beginning, it was, I've never cried so much in my life. I'm not like a crying person. And it was very hard to, I think, just to know that so many people didn't even care as well. It was hard to comprehend that.
it's
It's
very difficult because you begin helping other families directly, and almost your life becomes secondary. It's really difficult at the same time because you already have your own life happening. Do you feel at some point you started to feel if you are neglecting your mental state, you're neglecting your own emotional needs?
I did, like, I'd have people say to me things, and, I know, I'm like, but to me, it was, it didn't matter. It was at that point, particularly, when they were under heavy bombardment, and I was helping them try and find ways from one forced displacement to another, um, which makes it sound so gentle. Like, oh yes, they had to move. But it's not. It's in that moment. There were times that they would be displaced, and then as soon as they'd found somewhere else to go to, then again another lot of leaflets were dropped and we had to move again. And so I'm out trying to help them get the money and the funds and find, obviously, which is very different. I'm not there, it's not me, but I'm trying to facilitate that to help them as much as I can. And I thought my mental health really isn't the priority right now. um if I'd focused on my mental health and took a little break, then things, catastrophic things can happen. It wasn't the priority. Um, I did.
Do you feel your life wasn't as important? Did you feel, did you say to yourself, my life has become unimportant in a way? Does that belief sits underneath that responsibility and guilt, or the feeling that you do not have the right to step back?
Not so much that it wasn't the priority. It wasn't at the forefront of what needed to happen in that moment. Um,
Mhm.
and it wasn't that I didn't have the right to, I can do whatever I want. I wasn't under pressure or duty or obligation. It was a conscious decision that I made,
Con-
for me, and that was the right thing to do. And, I can't take a break when, people that I love and care about could die. Like I won't answer my phone right now because I'm going to have a lie in. And then because I did that, something awful happened.
Yes, yes. Do you feel guilt sometimes?
Not so much now. I think I've learnt to balance a little bit better now. But in the beginning, I'd have people say to me, "Oh, you're not fun Samantha anymore. Like, where's fun Samantha gone?" So, well, like, it, it's it's not fun to me to do any of the things that I did before, because to me that's taking time away from when I could be doing something to help. Like, even when I was going out on the protests, it was putting, there's a lot of dead zones throughout it, and I couldn't contact on my phone. I thought anything that I'm doing that's not this work right now
Hmm.
isn't important to me. Um, so yeah, definitely at the beginning, like anything else that I did just felt like I shouldn't be.
Took me back to my book. In my book, Samantha in Hope Re-Embroidered, there is a line: I stopped seeing my friends as often. Conversations felt like interruptions. Plans without him felt hollow. In a different context, that line speaks to how identity can slowly disappear. Did you recognize moments where your own life started to fade in the same way?
Yeah, I felt, I guess, that I didn't really recognize who I was anymore. Um, which is good and bad. There's growth of understanding of the world that, I had the luxury of being in a bubble where obviously I knew certain things, bad things existed, but they didn't affect me.
Mhm.
Um, I I didn't associate with people that were racist, and I guess I've learned the fact that that's not being. You have to be anti-racist. It has to be an action. It's not simply for the fact of I don't associate with those people. I don't think that way. I don't do those things.
Mhm.
It's a bigger, it's a bigger movement than that. Um, so that, that's a good thing, that I don't recognize myself, because, I have a greater understanding of the world, and I I try actively to make my part of it better.
That's
Um,
you're selfless, Samantha.
I don't quite describe myself as that
I
kind of.
you
um
like, you know, it, and also I just wonder, do you feel sometimes we can feel caring for ourselves can feel morally wrong when others are suffering more?
Yeah, but I think that comes from within. You know, I felt like that, but when I've spoken to, so like the families that I help, they are like my family now. We're very close, and you know, spoken to them before, and um, the one conversation we had in particular, and I'd had a really bad day, and she's like, "Tell me," on my face, she was like, "Tell me about your day." I'm like, "Well, like it's nothing. It's just," and she's like, "No, we're friends." She's like, "My issues are different to your issues, but we're friends, and if we're friends and like we're family, then we discuss these things with each other, and we're there for each other." And you know, it's very true. It was, I guess, a hard thing to consider at the beginning because I'm like, well, anything I'm going through is nothing compared to that.
Hmm.
Um, but that's so it's all that I put on myself. It's never come from any of the families, you know, that their attitudes. It's just how I would feel of it. You know, it doesn't matter. And you know, there are times that you know some of the families have said things to me. They're like, no, 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 you take a rest. You've done, you know, this and that for us. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Like it's fine. Like let's get it done. You know, I'll rest afterwards. You know.
Hmm. Samantha, do you ever feel there's moments where you're almost burnt out? Uh,
I made myself really ill, like just before the, you know, we call it a ceasefire. It's not, but you know, the so-called ceasefire. I made myself very like medically ill from it, and it was, you know, after that was called and everything calmed down to some level. Obviously, it's not, you know, they're still killing every day. It's not over, but the fast-paced change has stopped. That I then had to kind of reevaluate some things. I'm like, you know, I need to be there for my family as well. Um, and again, like I said, this all comes from me. Like none of the families in Palestine would ever, they would tell me to rest and things like that. But yeah, I realized that I need to address these things and find this balance because I've massively burnt myself out. It was, you know, there was a time I helped a family get formula milk for their baby, and I didn't sleep even a whole night in like 3 weeks, where I was bouncing backwards and forwards between time zones to try and get milk. Um, and it's, you know, I say this in the sense of I don't think I'm amazing for doing that.
yeah.
It and it wasn't a pressure that anybody else put on me. It was the fact of, I, you know, a baby needed milk, and I kind of needed to deal with that in my mind. But it's not a sustainable life, and
Mhm.
it's not any way that I can continue helping families if I push myself to those limits, and I can't help my own family if I push to those limits. So it has to be that you find a way through it. And I think as well, like in the beginning, I never anticipated how long this would go on because my understanding was so small of what the situation was. I didn't anticipate it would go on this long. You know, at the beginning, I said I was
Yeah.
thinking once
Yeah.
people knew, you know, this would change. And now, obviously, I understand this. This is a forever thing. It doesn't matter. You know, the occupation could be dismantled tonight, but it's still ongoing. It's still forever. So it was
Yeah.
even more important to make sure that I didn't continue with this burnout because how can I help?
What
Yeah,
made you finally acknowledge that continuing the same way would make you less effective? Is that your health, feeling unwell,
yeah,
and you had to
yeah,
step back? And I sometimes I wonder, that's why I included also in my book, I write, sometimes I wondered if I had escaped the cage or simply kept it with me. Do you think that sense of responsibility can become something we carry internally, even when we try to step back?
yeah. Because it doesn't go away. It doesn't stop. There's no pause. You know, it doesn't matter what any of us are doing. It's everything's still going on. You know, the need is still there. So it's not, say, a normal job, you have a bad day and you think, "Do you know what, I'm having tomorrow off and I'm just turn off my phone and shut myself off. Whatever happens, happens." And you can have a relaxing day, whatever, and it's fine. It's not like that. It doesn't go away.
Yeah.
You can suddenly relax and your mind switches off, and everything that you've seen and experienced and witnessed and doesn't all melt away. So there is no, you know, day off, and it's gonna you'll carry it with you wherever you go all the time.
You chose not to stop, basically, so you had to rebalance. Did you get the support you need in real life? What does that look like to you beyond the pressure to constantly do more?
It was being stricter with timings of things. So I discussed with the family certain things of what, obviously, barring a emergency situation, just regular videos and things, content that I would need from them by certain times, or if they could like get some things to me uh, that I can make 2 or 3 videos in a row, so that I could just sit down and get that work done. It was taking time out for spending time with my family, so making sure that we had like quality time together. So when I pick my son up from school, it's at time. Again, barring like any emergencies happening, that it would I just focus on him. And taking time to, I guess, work through my own things as well. So I journal a lot. So I can
How does that make you feel when you journal?
I feel like I understand things better that way. When things are in my mind, that goes round and round, and I don't really know how to order it. And then if I get it out on paper, then I can work through it. And sometimes you have thoughts sometimes that you don't want to share with other people, or you can't express them fully because they might be hurtful or misunderstood or anything like that. And I can just get it all out of my head, and
Yeah.
like it's that time to focus on me. Just even just before bed, just write a page or two, and it just gets everything out of my head, helps me to process everything. Um, so that made a difference, and I felt it was a good way of addressing my own feelings, but it wasn't impacting anything else. It wasn't stopping me from families. It wasn't stopping me from being with my children or anything like that. It was a good balance for me.
Maybe it's slowing down. I feel sometimes when we slow down and we connect with who we are.
Yeah.
Do you feel, Samantha, also you started to feel much better when you started to set boundaries and started sleeping maybe more, and you have your own, you made space for your own life again? Do you feel different?
Yeah, I feel like I'm handling everything better. So rather than running from this to that and never giving anything 100%, or never feeling like I was giving anything 100%, I now feel like I can. So yeah, it made a huge difference. I don't think it's something I could have done though in the height of everything, because everything was so changeable so quickly.
Yeah.
Um, it wouldn't have been practical then. But for now, where things have slowed down, that I can become more organized and feel like I can take control of things better, and I can give every aspect all of me rather than pieces of me.
Going back to my book, I also write, I was not afraid of losing him. I was afraid of what would happen if I left. Do you think something similar happens in activism? That people are not afraid of the work itself, but of what it means to step away from it?
From my perspective, I then yes, I guess because I was worried. Like I had alerts on for Telegram for like their family names and the town names and things, and I'd fall asleep for like half an hour and check that the alerts hadn't come on. And in reality, what can I do? Like I'm here. Like if something happens, I can't physically do anything for most situations. But I did. I felt like I had to know what's going on, and I had to be present as much as possible. So it's from my perspective, yeah, I was always worried. If I was out and my phone died, then I would panic because I think, oh my God, what if they tried to get hold of me and I'm not available?
Yes, yes, it must have been difficult, that feeling where you just want to be available Did you ever feel that it's my fault if something happens?
Um, I think so. With one of my families, they don't want to evacuate. They never wanted to evacuate. That's their thing. With another family, they wanted to evacuate, and I feel, regardless of whether it's realistic or not, I felt like if I'd have known more and done better at the beginning, before the Rafa crossing closed, then I could have helped them evacuate. But I didn't. Like, I know intellectually, with the tools that I had at the time, I did the best I could. I didn't know anything or anyone, so realistically, I couldn't have raised that much money. Um, we've got better at it as time's gone along. But yeah, I do feel that guilt still. It doesn't matter if it's illogical. I feel that guilt of, if I'd have been able to, then they could have been out of there a long time ago.
Yes, yes, I can imagine that, you start building this connection with them and you feel that I'm privileged, I can do more, I should be doing more. But also, Samantha, for someone who's listening, who feels they must give everything or nothing, how do they begin to build balance without feeling like they are abandoning the people they are trying to help?
Um, I think communicating with your families really helps. We're very close. I consider them family. Like, they know all of my family. Like, they'll speak to my children, and we have video calls and everything, and we've spent celebrations with each other as well. So we have a very open line of communication. So I think it's if you're going to help, if that's how you're going to help, particularly with one or more families, just communicating with each other and understanding what it is that they need from you, then what you need from them, then it can help you, maintain that balance. Just being honest with each other. Um, when there's been days that I've really felt ill, then I've said, I can't post today. And I know, it's as long as I let them know early enough, they can do it for themselves. I'm not impacting their campaign then.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't like it. I don't like to say to them, you're going to have to do this today. And it happens very rarely. But I find, as long as I've communicated that with them early, I don't feel too bad, because
Hmm.
I've given opportunity for them to be able to do it for themselves.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I just communication, just honesty, and having that ability to, if you prioritize it in the way of, you want to be of use. If you're doing this fundraising, you want to be useful, you want to be helpful. So it's understanding your own limitations sometimes, to make sure that you're still being helpful. Because
Yes.
you if you do what I did and you burn yourself out into nothing, and so many other people, I'm not the only one, there's so many of us that have burnt ourselves out, that you then make yourself sick, and you can't help anymore, not
Did,
effectively.
did that experience make you see the world in a different lens?
Yeah, completely changed. Um, it's I was never someone that was like, oh, I trust the government and all this sort of thing. Um, but I never understood the scale of corruption that runs through this whole planet. Um, and that changed me a lot. The things, that I've seen, and then in turn, that I've learned about history that I didn't know. Um, it's it's changed me a lot. For the most part, I'd say it's made me a better person. Um, I wish, like, this wasn't the thing that changed me. Um, obviously, it's not like, oh, it's a positive this happened for them, but there's been positive aspects for me, for the fact that I feel like it's made me a better person on the whole. It's made me have to have a greater understanding of other perspectives in the world. Things like racism obviously isn't something that I experience, um, And I remember with Omar a conversation when he first started making videos, he was making them in Arabic, and he said, I need to make them in English. I was like, no, you don't need to make them in English. It's fine. I add subtitles on it. You don't have to. And he's like, no, people don't care when I speak in Arabic. I was like, no, that can't be right. I was like, they can understand it and surely they must care. But he proved me wrong. They didn't, well, because so throughout the genocide, I've been teaching him English because they didn't care. Like those little aspects of things that wouldn't even cross my mind before.
Wow. Yeah.
It was really sad. Like when he proved me wrong. I mean, I don't like being wrong anyway. But when he proved me wrong, it like that was a big eye-opening moment for me when I realized that people were literally just ignoring it, even though the captions were right there in front of him to understand what he was saying, because he was speaking to Arabic. Like no donations, nothing, no, he didn't really gain followers. It was only when he started speaking in English.
That is heartbreaking. Unfortunately, this is why sometimes it's good that we research, we learn, we understand other cultures and because before all of this, there wasn't a lot of awareness. And it's good to see people are waking up, are coming together, understanding what's really happening behind closed doors. And now, actually, it's not behind closed doors because it's all over the media. We all know what's happening.
Yeah.
So, how can people help your families? Is How can they find you? How can they connect if support what you're doing?
Anyone, do you know what? Anyone can do something. I think this is the thing. Like people might say, I haven't got a big platform. What's the point in me sharing one of their videos? Or I don't have a lot of money. Like what difference would it make? Like their videos get thousands of one of Omar's videos got 1.7 million views. Okay, so
Wow.
if everybody watching, or even a tiny proportion of people watching, sent £1, like that would literally make a huge difference because it like help him hit his targets. His my other family, Dima, she hasn't had barely any donation in such a long time. Things like that. If you just sent £1, it would not only make them feel seen and heard and cared, that someone out there cared about them, it would soon add up. If you've got 20 followers and you share their story, then maybe one of your friends might either share it as well or open a dialogue because they didn't know really. There are still people out there that don't really know what's going on. Or someone might donate. It doesn't matter. You've done something. You've helped it. You see all the videos on Instagram that get pushed out is because people have had conversations in the comments, things like
Yes.
that. Just have a conversation. And don't spam it, but have a conversation in there. Share it with your friends. Is literally the simplest thing to do, is to help a family, because you don't even have to spend any money to do it. Um, Give them a follow to help boost their accounts, those sorts of things. It's with all the families I help, and I know most other families are like this as well. They're more than willing to do video calls if they're able to, because I understand people get worried about giving to families because they don't know who's scamming. For one, you can see by their accounts they've been posting for years, but even so, they'll have a video call with you. Um, I find it sad when people will be more willing to give to a big organization because they have the big campaigns rather than the families. Um, a lot of campaigns, they aren't legitimate. The big organizations, they're not
Yep.
legitimate, but because they have that big following behind them, people will give to them. Whereas where you can make most impact is giving to a family. Some families haven't had donations in like 6 months, and there's no other way to live. And I think that people heard about the ceasefire and they thought that's okay, or they'll see about food being allowed in, very little, but they see about food being let in. I've had arguments with people. They'll tell me they get free food. I was like, but how many families do you speak to? Like, they don't. That's not. Yes, there are some organisations that are able to get food parcels out, but it's not as a regular um, solution to their problem. They just might be able to help on that occasion. on the
Mhm.
whole, families will only survive if people help them. And we're all meant to be boycotting as well. So if you've cancelled any subscriptions, you could give that as a monthly, even if that was £5, £10 subscription as a monthly payment to a family, knowing that that's always coming in for their mental health alone. That helps boost them because they know that somebody out there cares whether they live or die. Because at this point, it's very hard for them to see that.
Yes, yes. I will share a link to the videos that you would like me to share,
Thank you.
so for them. It's amazing because these families, you are carrying them. You basically, you feel there's the weight of carrying them, that you are basically the mother that you want to reach, that you want them to get the help they need. You want them to have a good life. And that pressure on your health, that you just came to the realization, I need to find a balance.
Mhm.
Have you reached that balance? Would you say you are actually in a position where you know what, I can step back for a bit and take care of me?
Um, there's good days.
Yeah.
I would never want to fully step back, like, oh, I'm stepping back for a day and not think. I mean,
No,
because we have conversations just as friends anyway, like, oh, what have you been doing today? Sort of conversations. But I'm able to allot a time of the day for me, whether that's just like half hour before bed or something. I'm able to do that now, um, most of the time.
you
Um, but yeah, that's the thing as well. It's having not striving for perfection. Just, if yesterday I got some balance and today I haven't, at least yesterday I did.
exactly. It's the balance, is knowing that it's okay to be kind to yourself because you are kind to others.
I get really tired of hearing people say, "Oh, I need a break. I can't see all of this. It's just too
Oh,
sad." Um, I have no patience for it. I really don't. You don't have to sit and scroll through the videos, if because that's fine. Like, if you don't want to, but do something. Like, okay, I don't want to scroll through Instagram today and look at videos, but I'm going to do this for this family, or I'm going to have this direct action offline elsewhere. Do something. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel devastated. Whatever emotions we're feeling, we don't have to suppress them all and be happy all the time. You
no.
can't be happy throughout this. But equally, yes, it is okay to have moments of happiness. You're going to feel guilty, but we have to be okay to do that. But no,
Yeah.
it's to me the priority will always be the families. Um, and in some way to do something, and that I think comes above all the other things. People will focus elsewhere on other arguments and other issues. And to me, what is the point of a free Palestine if you've left all the families to die?
If you had to tell yourself, if advice your inner self, what that you wish that you could take it on board, what would it be?
Just, I guess that is take care of yourself. Like, do the things that you need to function as a human being. I Sometimes I think of it in terms of, okay, what would I do? Make sure my son's done that day. So I think of it as me as like, okay, make sure you've done this, make sure you've done that. Um, there was there was one time, and I felt really awful doing. There was Omar would always have a go at me because I hadn't eaten. He's like, "What have you eaten today?" I was like, "Nothing. Like, I'm fine. Like, I'm doing this and that. I'll do it afterwards." And there was one time he video called me and made me sit down and eat in front of him. I'm like,
Is
"Omar,
that
I can't sit with you."
sorry to pause you there. Is
Yeah,
that up in Gaza for
yeah.
people who are
So,
listening?
Omar is in Gaza, and he called me and he made me sit down in front of him and eat. I was like, "I can't sit and eat in front of someone in a genocide, Omar." He's like, "Yes, you can." He's like, I'm not going until you show me that you've taken care of yourself today.
Oh,
It's like, oh my God. I was like, I can't. I was like, this is really awful.
no, I know.
So I guess that it's a thing of remembering to take care of myself like I would expect my child or someone else I love, or, to look at it rather than what I would put externally to put that onto me.
Look after yourself. As you mentioned earlier, it's hard to carry on.
Yeah.
Even you coming to speak to me is such an honor, and I'm so privileged that you shared the space and having this conversation with me, because I know for you what's important is being behind closed doors, carrying on the work quietly. So I
Yeah.
really appreciate you coming and speaking to me.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's no, I prefer. I mean, if you look at my page, it's not personal. You wouldn't know very much about me because I think, like, for me, it's to platform their voices. It's another thing that I hate hearing when people say we're the voices of the voice. That we're not the voices of the voiceless. They have a voice. We just need to listen to their voices. We need to make sure other people hear their voices, and that very much is keeping their story centered to everything. Um, that's to me is another thing of like, oh, my little feelings, like it's really not relevant because I've got a warm home and a comfortable bed and everything else. So it's I do prefer just to stay. Even the videos, like, I hate making videos, but even the video, it's their stories. It's not my feelings.
Your feelings matter. They matter to me. They matter to me. And I'm sure they matter to a lot of people.
Thank you.
Samantha, that
I'm
has,
very, like, it's very English, like feelings are.
yes, yes, feelings. You don't share feelings, right?
No, we don't share feelings. We don't have.
But a Palestinian, we kind of take it out after we shake it out.
Really strange all the time, like, "Oh, I love you, I love you." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Whoa."
حبيبتي حبيبتي.
Yeah. I'm like,
Yeah, honestly, Samantha, this has been such a powerful conversation.
"Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed talking to you."
The same. Thank you for being part of this conversation, and thank you for everything that you do. And please make sure you rest. And please get some
I need to go and do a workout now.
yes, and then you can rest and don't forget to eat. So,
I got messages from you now as well.
thank you so much, Samantha.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and I can't wait to read your book.